What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shogi from Shook Earth Media, and today we are looking at Resident Evil announcements in the showcase that Capcom just held today. It's kind of their E3 show for the summer. We got some new trailers, a first look at the Resident Evil Village DLC, as well as a little bit of a look at Resident Evil 4 Remake coming out next year, as well as confirmation that the next-gen versions of Resident Evil 2, 3, and Resident Evil 7 are now available on consoles and I believe Steam as well. I'm going to be checking that out later, and I'm going to be covering that later. I got to back up this copy of the game, make sure they didn't mess anything up. I'll get back to you guys if there's an issue with it. But we're going to look at the trailers for the DLC. I'm pretty excited about it. We got a little bit of confirmation that Reverse is finally coming out. This is like a competitive multiplayer game that I played the beta for. There's still footage on my channel if you want to check it out. I actually really had a good time with this game, and I'm looking forward to it. So we're just going to watch some of these trailers, and we're going to give our thoughts on it as we go. So the first trailer that we got is for a Rose expansion, presumably setting up for the next game in the series, which is set to star her.
Shut up.
So we get more details about the story later on, but she's immersed in some kind of fluid, and it's giving her visions, or something like that. So it looks like a more story-focused expansion, less about the gameplay and more about introducing this character. And it looks like we're reusing some assets from the original game, as you would expect in DLC. And we got this weird mirror image version of Rose. So I'm curious to see who Rose is going to be. We got the shopkeeper guy as a villain, it looks like. So that's her immersed in the water again. Shadows of Rose is what it's called. So I'm really excited to see the next main installment of the Resident Evil franchise. I'm excited to see where Rose's story goes and who she is and how the gameplay is going to evolve. I feel like she might get some special kind of powers or something, but that's just me speculating. But I feel like we'll have a better idea of what number 9 is going to be once we get our hands on this DLC. So we also got new playable characters for Mercenary mode, which is awesome, and we're getting new levels as well. So again, the Mercenaries mode, it was a fun addition, but it was not a lot of content. In typical Mercenaries modes, you have multiple playable characters, more stages than we had in the actual release. So it's gonna be cool to play more levels of that, and I still need to beat all the levels so I can get the lightsaber. I haven't unlocked the lightsaber yet, but that's gonna be fun to delve into that. And the third part of the DLC I think is really interesting. So the Rose DLC is in third person, and I think they made that decision because we're getting to know her as a character, and maybe we are just transitioning back to third person mode in general. But we got Ethan here in third person. This is Resident Evil Village in third person. So when they were making the DLC, they made it third person. So they just simply ported that over to the main campaign. And I'm curious about it. I mean, it's, you know, I could take it or leave. I like both perspectives. I think the first person perspective in Village and 7 was interesting. It set it apart from the other games. It made it more immersive. You could really delve yourself into the world a little bit more, and it really helped the horror aspect of the game. So I like the change of perspective, but this is a fun little game mode, something that usually would have been a mod. I think there already is a third-person mod for this game, if I'm not mistaken. So it's cool to see official support for an actual version, and it unlocks after you beat the game. So you can't play the game for the first time this way, unless, of course, you download somebody's save or something. But yeah, so that I'm gonna play it again in third person just for fun. So that's gonna be cool. And of course, it's gonna be Gold Edition. This is the Game of the Year edition, you could say. They also called Resident Evil 7's DLC Gold Edition as well. Now, Resident Evil 7's DLC was a bit more. There's a bit more content. There was multiple game modes. it was more than just mercenaries. You know, there was like a mercenaries type of mode, a zombie kind of mode, and there were a lot of mini games. The DLC from 7 was excellent. This looks like a solid expansion, not quite to the same degree or level, but it doesn't have to. I'm curious to see Rose. We'll get to learn more about the next installment in the main franchise. So I am excited to see how the DLC turns out. So, and of course we got the VR mode coming for PlayStation VR 2, which I won't be able to play because I'm not going to buy another console and another headset. But of course Reverse is coming out on the same day as the DLC, so I think that's smart to package it with the rest of the DLC, hopefully get more people interested in playing Resident Evil Village again. So this was the multiplayer mode for Resident Evil Village that was supposed to come out the same day, and it got delayed, probably rightfully so, because there were a lot of server issues with the demos that we got, or the beta, and there wasn't a lot of content. There's only one map, and it looked like it needed some fleshing out. So I'm excited to play this again. As I said, I really enjoyed this, and most people didn't. There's not a lot of hype. People talk negatively about it. The cartoon filter, yeah, it doesn't look the greatest, especially in trailers. But when you play it in the game, it actually kind of helps because it makes it brighter. And in a competitive multiplayer game, I'm like, it's actually an advantage to play with it on. Even though you can turn it off, there's a toggle. You can turn it off and make it look more realistic how it did originally, but you know what? It's actually useful. So that's just me talking about Reverse. They didn't actually show too much from it. I don't think they showed anything from it. If anything, it was just like a very brief trailer of similar footage we already saw. So I'm excited to play this. I mean, we got Chris Heisenberg and we got Dimitrescu in there as well. And Dimitrescu, they showed us she's like towering above the enemies. We got Chris's punch, of course. Heisenberg has some kind of fire ability, so all the different characters have different abilities, and I absolutely love it. You know, look at, I'm guessing that she gets higher powered enemies because she could just take them out. Look, they're all heavy enemies with armor and everything. And yeah, I'm excited for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, a bunch of new stages for the Mercenaries mode. Shadows of Rose. At first, when this trailer started playing, I thought it was Resident Evil 9. I was like, oh, no way we're getting this today. That was not on my mind since they just announced for Resident Evil 4 Remake that they would do that. But of course, it is DLC, and I think it's really smart of them to do that. So, yeah, I'm most excited for Resident Evil 4, of course. But I mean, this DLC is going to occupy me in the meantime, and honestly, Reverse might be my main game for a couple months. I might just like mostly play that. But we got another kind of vial thing. I wanted to point this out. So got another vial thing. These are the type of vials that she was in, except it's blue instead of gold.
From her mysterious powers.
See, how will Rose find freedom from her mysterious powers? They're hinting at that she has powers. She has powers, so she's going to have abilities, and it's going to be interesting to play a Resident Evil game as a character who has magic abilities, presumably more of an action game, more enemies on the screen at any given time, higher power enemies, if we're going to have powers and stuff like that. Maybe that's why it has to be in third person. Maybe that's why we're transitioning, because she has these abilities. Maybe they involve movement, or, you know, it's kind of hack and slashy or something. There's a lot of possibilities here with adding a character that has like superpowers, basically. So that's what I'm excited for with Resident Evil 9, and I'm curious if anybody's going to be talking about that. But they've got these enemies that like ooze up from the ground, which is kind of cool. So we got some new enemies.
Creatures, but the world itself seems to be attacking
the world itself seems to be attacking you.
In a third person is guided by a being who
calls himself Michael, might be of assistance with removing her powers. Okay, so it's like, it's kind of a psychological dreamscape world that she's in, and the world's attacking her. Presumably we'll learn a little bit about the characters. I think it's just going to be a teaser. It's not really going to give us too much information, but it's definitely going to be fun. But yeah, this game, underrated. I really liked it. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm just, and they're bringing Village to Mac. How many people are really gaming on the Mac? I never would have guessed they're bringing it to Mac. I would have even guessed like Linux before that because of the Steam Deck out. I would have thought like, oh, they're gonna Steam Deck verify it before that, but you know. And then they got some more footage of the VR, which was previously announced, and then they simply played the trailer that we already got for Resident Evil 4. Although we got a little bit more of an expanded scene here at the end with Leon. I think it's a little different. I don't think we had this shot last time. Maybe we did, but I thought it was like him walking away. That was the last shot before. So I think that last shot was new, but everything else, same trailer from before.
This title is
we got
reimagining
some new information. This part is just reiterating
and was assigned, you might know,
a lot that we already knew. We are getting a little bit more about Leon's backstory. They kind of confirmed that here, and I'm excited to see that because it was abrupt before, and we're getting a bit more into Leon's head in this one, which I like a lot because he's dealing with the trauma of surviving Raccoon City, very clearly referencing it in dialogue at the end of that trailer. So I'm excited to see a more psychological take on it, because Leon before, he was just like this confident guy, wisecracking and flirting with women the whole time. Like that was like his character. So I'm excited to see a bit more grounded take on it.
Directly under the president,
you know, as grounded as Resident Evil can be. But yeah, they've said they redesigned the Ganado, which is really cool.
Camera returns.
And of course we got over-the-shoulder camera coming back, of course. And
of course,
they said they emphasize here, we're emphasizing the horror, trying to create more horror than there was originally, which is music to my ears. But of course there will also be thrilling battles, meaning that the action gameplay is not going anywhere. But I think we can delve from that some conclusions about what they're going to do. I mean, presumably we're not getting the action island. Presumably we're not getting, you know, fire-breathing statues and this lava room. And I think a lot of the over-the-top stuff might be toned down a little bit, which I think is for the best. So I am excited to see that. And they said it should be very familiar to people who play the remakes of 2 and 3, presumably meaning we'll get pretty much the same control scheme. And they didn't mention anything about inventory, but I would have assumed that they would be like, and people, it would be the inventory system from Village. That's what I'm guessing they're gonna do. But honestly, who knows? Maybe it's a whole redesigned thing. So I'm excited for Resident Evil 4, and yeah, and then we get the announcement that the updates are coming out today. I was hoping when I started watching this live that they would announce Reverse was available today. But that was just me wishful thinking. But they did do the available today thing, which I think is kind of like required for showcases at this point. You got to release something that at the showcase. But the next gen updates for Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 7 are available on console, and they said PC as well. I've yet to check it for myself. I'm gonna be checking that and reporting to you guys if there's any major differences or what the differences are. Unfortunately, the update made the game incompatible with some older PCs. I did a video about this today, and the update made it force you to use Direct 12 now, which is only on Windows 10, and certain older PCs aren't going to be able to play it now, which I think is unfortunate, and I hope that eventually you are able to play the old version if you have to. So we'll see. I'll continue reporting on that situation as it develops. I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you want to see more Resident Evil content, definitely keep it locked on Shook Earth Media and hit the sub button and like, and I hope to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. What did you guys think about this showcase? Would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.